So, I hope folks, we're not wearing masks because we're not near each other, but I hope you put on your mask. It's not a political statement. It's simply common sense. It's a public health concern. And that is this thing called the coronavirus. COVID-19 discovered somewhere around November, December of 2019 has really taken a year that wasn't the greatest and extended it into 2020. And because of that, as Ashley said earlier, sports have been on hold. Now, we did have this thing, something great, I believe it was in May, called The Last Dance that held us over. Was it April or May?
It went into May, I think.
Huh?
Yeah.
It went into May.
See, this year been so long. But y'all are sports hosts, you know, every one of you, and I know Brandon's working on stuff, but I have to say, before we jump in, I'm proud of each and every one of you because you are maintaining great content, and you haven't, in times like this, people sink or swim, and y'all proved that y'all can swim with the sharks. Ain't no Rona gonna stop no show over there. So, and Ashley looked like she's just itching. Ashley, have you find yourself?
Tell me when to go. Go ahead.
Right? Have you been able to find yourself during a Rona and not having sports? Because I know you were so excited to watch LeBron James win the championship. I'm so excited to see Dak Prescott get franchise tagged.
And then beat by the Eagles.
Ooh.
And the Ravens win the Super Bowl.
There you go.
After the Lakers won the championship.
What are you asking me here, Brian?
How you hanging, kid?
With no sports? On my damn mind over here. I told you.
But real talk though, how do you feel about the NBA coming back? Like I said, the coronavirus really took a toll on everybody around the month of April, shifting everything, canceling sports, putting everything on pause. And granted, it was the beginning of May, but April was where we was getting ready for the playoffs. Do you want to see the NBA come back under the current conditions?
You ever feel like you dreaming? And I don't know if anybody's ever felt like they're dreaming in that moment. You got to pinch yourself. Like you really want to make sure that you're awake and you're not in some, that's kind of how I feel about Rona. There's a couple of days I'll just be like, is this for real? That's how I felt about the NBA season being canceled. I was just completely like, and I don't even think it devastated me as much as it has over time at that time, because I was like, maybe it's not going to be that bad. It'll be back in a week. It'll be, they'll resume in a couple of days. And here it is, July, and we're just about to resume where the season picked up off of. And it's not even in its full capacity because we're not going to see every team. But I want everybody to be safe. But my God, I went to the app when they announced that we were back and the schedule had dropped and the teams that are going to be attending, everything in Orlando. And I almost shed a tear because I have been losing my mind without sports. And let's not speak that into existence. I don't want to hear any of that from y'all on here. Let's speak into existence that the NFL might not start. We're not going to do it. Come here, we're not going to do it. We're not doing that.
And look, I got a Super Bowl. I got the NFL. My guy got a Super Bowl.
I got a Super Bowl too. So
the NFL is.
No, I said we got one to win.
Well, yeah.
The NFL is going to start on time with or without fans. I don't give a damn. It needs to happen. I'm super excited about the NBA. I cannot lie. I just hope that they have completely thought it out. Adam Silver and everybody, NBA Player Association, whatever. Everybody needs to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed because this needs to go well.
Every knee shall bow and every tongue
Rona's
confess.
worse now. Rona worse now than it was when it first started because everything's reopening. So it's like, but I just hope that everybody stays safe. But I cannot wait, y'all. Y'all know me. I might not even be talking to y'all no more. I might have to take myself out the group chat.
Don't act new.
That's not going to happen.
That's not happening.
Brand new.
So I'm happy. I'm excited.
Well, I'm torn because I am looking forward to the return of the NBA. I happen to be wearing yellow today. That's just a coincidence. I'm happy for the return.
It looks green.
It's
But what does that
yellow.
mean?
It's
Though? Like, what is
colorblind.
yellow?
That's yellow.
It's like highlighter. That's it.
But what is yellow?
And my mic is yellow. I mean,
But
I'm
what does that-
Y'all need to check y'all screen
because
resolution.
colorblind. Yeah, I'm a
The
little
Mac.
concerned. It's like clearly yellow. Apparently they don't teach that in school either.
But what does yellow mean? You're like, but what does it mean? You're like,
I'm trying to get there. Because the Lakers, I'm ready for the
Oh,
Lakers. This is
girl.
their year to win the championship. And now if the Lakers win the championship, y'all are already saying that, LeBron haters, that it's not the same because
I ain't no LeBron. Hell, no LeBron.
so I was most disappointed because the Lakers, the way we were finishing out the regular season and moving into the postseason, we were ready to win the championship. And now this is all going to be, who knows what's going to happen. And again, if we win it, there's going to be this glitch on it because everyone's going to say, oh, it's because of this, that, and the third. So yeah, hater, Ashley, I'm torn. But then also, as you mentioned, looking at the numbers around Orlando specifically, that's where the MLS is returning, the NBA is returning, the WNBA is in Florida, and looking at the fact that 3 cities in Florida were in the top 10 across the country for the number of cases that happened in a short amount of time, Orlando and Tampa being 2 of them, over 260 Orlando airport employees that tested positive. The numbers that I keep hearing out of Florida are unreal. And then to see like Denver, the Nuggets just shut down their training facility because they have to clean because there are a bunch of players that just tested positive. It's not going anywhere. Between protests and sports returning, the numbers are only increasing. So I would love for sports to return. I miss watching LeBron and the Lakers be the top of the NBA. But I also don't want anybody to have to deal with COVID. That's not fair to sacrifice their health and their families because we all selfishly want entertainment. That is exactly what Kyrie Irving and the whole crew of NBA players that's against it are really saying, between wanting transparency and the fact that you are literally like monkeys in a zoo being put on stage to entertain all the rest of us because we're bored. No, it's not worth any dollar to risk your life for COVID. So I honestly am very torn. I miss basketball. I miss all sports. Soccer is back, by the way. It's one of the sports that has returned, but it's just like indoor sports, especially. I don't know how you can safely have a sport like basketball come back. I think football actually has a better chance, but it is a lot of contact and a lot of people in a small proximity. So,
question really quick. Are they giving folks, I think they're giving folks the option to go to Orlando or to not go, right?
yes.
They're giving folks an option. Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure on that.
All
I mean,
right.
because I know you said something like, it's like an act, you know what I'm saying? But, and everybody's not forced to go. You know what I'm saying? So in a sense, it's really the players making their own decision and saying, LeBron, press, ass, oh, let me go to Orlando.
No, it's kind of like we're dealing with. It's kind of like we were talking about. I hate to compare this to the harassment situation, but if you're a player that unfortunately needs the money, because not everybody has it like that. I know everybody likes to assume professional athletes are just making bank. Some players aren't doing well financially. It might need to go back because they support their families.
Yes.
But then also, you don't want to be that guy that's opting out of going to play with your team. It takes a lot of courage to be able to say, no, I'm not coming back. We've seen it in the WNBA with players like Natasha Cloud. We've seen it in the NBA. Players have come forward like Trevor Ariza, who we didn't even know it's on that team. But anyways, I digress. I won't get into that. But we've seen some players that have come out and said, I'm not going to Florida. I'm not coming back. It's just, that's a lot to have that courage to do that.
Yeah. I mean, just going off of that, like we saw that with Jonquel Jones for Connecticut Sun, like literally, my health is more important. And I'm just going to put this in layman terms. I love sports and entertainment. This is our livelihood. I would love to have sports back. I like to talk to people on my show about sports coming back. But in layman terms, COVID-19 has killed people. People.
Not worth it.
Not one, not two, but people. People are still dying. And the problem with it is that we don't have a cure for it. You could be asymptomatic. You could go to Orlando, but even to get to Orlando, think about the contact you have to have. You're going to be on charter planes. You're with people on those planes. When you get off the plane, you have to get to where you're going. You have to be in the arena. I think there's just too many questions. And to me, and even college players, these guys, they're on scholarship. They're trying to think if they should play or not, but think about it. This could be their futures in jeopardy. Sometimes people don't even know if they have these problems with their health that can come up and get worse because of COVID. And as much as I want sports to come back, I value human life. I don't care if I don't know you. I value your life. I just simply do. And I think until we get to a point where it's safe to play, why are we weighing it? Because what's going to happen when you start to weigh stuff like that? Something bad can happen. Is it going to take a star player getting COVID-19 and possibly dying?
Most likely.
Fingers crossed. I hope it doesn't happen, but that's what it seems like we're going to. Well, you know what? None of our big superstars got it yet. Oh, we're good. What does that mean, and what message does that send? I think we have a chance in history right now to be on the right side of history and get it right. I mean, it's crazy. We keep looking at the numbers. Oh, 5% of NBA players tested positive. Oh, that's nothing. 5% is too much. 1% is too much. 0.01% is too much. We see what COVID is doing to this entire country. It's a global pandemic. I would like to think this is a moment in time where maybe the man up above is telling us, hey, you guys need to look at what you're doing, what you're watching. Renee said it earlier. What is normal? We can't go back to a normal. That's forgotten. We can never go back that way. Face masks are a new way of life. And let's also be honest, these are young players. Are they going to abide by all of these rules? Come on. No,
right, man,
not. They're going to break the rules, which puts other people in jeopardy. I'm not just talking about the NBA. I think right now we need to help all of our medical professionals do what we can to hopefully help them find a cure, at least a way of slowing it down. But I can't even think about sports yet because sports is a want. It's not a need. I understand they need their paychecks.
It's not essential.
Exactly. And guess what? We're smart people. We're brilliant people. We're supposed to be one of the smartest countries in the entire world. We can figure out a way. We can figure out a way to safely get these people paid, have entertainment in a safe way. I know people weren't a big fan of the horse basketball tournament, but I don't know. We'll figure out something. But I just, for me at least, and as much as I love sports, as much as I want to be there, it's just not worth the risk. I think you have to weigh the risk versus the reward. And right now, the risk is way higher than the reward. And so I have a huge problem with people just thinking, oh, let's send these players down for our entertainment.
I just want to be clear that we're not like kind of slamming the league for it. That's why I kind of went back earlier and was like, these players have options to go or to not go. You know what I mean? So I don't think I just want to be clear that we're not slamming the league on restarting the season, because they literally can be like, no, we're not going. And then, you know what, it's shut down. Nobody's doing it, which is, again, why Kyrie decided to have that, you know, conversation. I mean, it kind of turned into, we can start our own league, you know. I mean, there's people in danger too, Kyrie, until we find
I love Kyrie
solution, but, you know.
Yes, we do.
I love how you said that, Brian.
I do, but a lot of times,
you know, the earth is flat to Kyrie.
That's the problem.
I mean, everybody's going to think what they want to think.
You know,
I mean, if you're walking on it, that's because of gravity.
That's what he's going off of.
I mean,
Trying to
but
help you, Kyrie.
you know, the thing is about this, right? The whole thing about this pandemic, like you said, Kelsey, sports is a want. It's not a need. And I know wrestling has continued, and at the beginning, I was like, all right, it's cool, you know, if they just go from home to the performance center with no fans, things should be fine. And the WWE has been getting a lot of heat because you've had multiple people reveal that they had COVID-19. They come out and said it. One of their announcers, Kayla Braxton, a Black woman at that, revealed that she's had it twice, and we never really saw her take a break. And it just makes you like, wow. And the thing is that we don't know is the long-term damage that it's going to do to these players. Von Miller, I believe there was an article where he still doesn't feel 100%. We don't know how Zeke's lungs are going to be. Quite frankly, we don't know how Kevin Durant's going to be, and I think you said, like, is it going to take like a player, on their deathbed? Because I thought when Kevin Durant had it, I was like, oh man, that really sucks. Like, and I think the difference with him, the reason why I probably didn't get as much attention is because he was hurt already.
Exactly.
Because if you really look at it, the first big star to get it was Donovan Mitchell. I remember that day when it was revealed that Rudy Gobert had it, and we was all in the group chat. It was like, uh-oh, he was the same guy being careless with touching the microphone.
Touching all the recorders.
Yeah, and it was just like, and now he has, and they said that was going in the locker room. I don't know how that relationship bounces back. And then Donovan Mitchell, it was like, well, here's a young rising star that people want to root for, but now he has the virus, So, and God forbid if, LeBron James or somebody get it. Let me ask y'all this, especially being sports, and Brandon, I'll start with you. If they restart, if let's say we get through everything, right? We have this, I'm about to say the sports, but we have the NBA playoffs. Then all of a sudden, your NBA Finals is the Washington Wizards versus the Oklahoma City Thunder because prominent members of the Bucks, Lakers, and Clippers got the Rona. Is that a loss for the NBA? Because personally, I think those are only 3 teams that could win it and they wouldn't feel bad. But if we get that finals matchup, is that a loss for the NBA? And I'll go around with this one, but start off with Brandon.
It's really hard to say because it's really open season right now because a lot of these teams have been out of basketball. Some of them, let's be honest, haven't really been necessarily keeping up with their workout regimen, stuff like that. You know, the chemistry has been lost amongst the teams. The continuity has to be rebuilt from what it was after All-Star break had happened and leading up to when coronavirus shut everything down. I mean, we're going to get what we get essentially when it comes to the return of the NBA. Granted, everybody may not see the teams that they picked in the finals or in the playoffs rather, but at the same time, guys, you got to understand it from this perspective. Like, if you wanted to restart from where we were, that means there has to be more teams and more people involved. And it's really hard for them to do their jobs without being so close to these players and coaches and stuff like that. The fans, we can definitely agree that you can empty out the arenas to keep them safe. They have done their part in terms of that. But then too, you also have to take into consideration that this lack of basketball does affect the bottom line because the NBA, just like the NFL and the NHL and the MLB, have to make some money so that they can keep the sports going and they can pay their players, even though they don't necessarily always want to pay them what they deserve to be paid. But that's a different conversation. It's not necessarily a loss to me. It's more of you're going to get what you get. If the team didn't do everything in their power to win in the time frame in which they were given, then hey, you just gotta chuck this loss up to Corona and come back next year where there will be a vaccine, Lord willing. Please, God, give Dr. Fauci the cure.
Ladies, NBA, Wizards, just I'm just saying lower tier teams that don't necessarily bring the eyeballs to the ratings. The reason why I use the Wizards because they're a complete different team without John Wall. Bradley Beal's great, but when you got that dynamic duo, you got one half missing. It's not the same. But in any case, we get 2 lower teams. Is this a lost season? Is it a mistake? Do the NBA really feel the pain?
Yep.
Yeah,
if you have a season, first of all, and it's not even just because I'm a LeBron James fan. If you have a season return and teams are having players that are testing positive for COVID, and now the league is, first of all, the league's not getting to the playoffs at that point. I guarantee you, like even right now, I know Adam Silver put out, there was a report that came out that he's considering stopping the return because of, all the numbers and the numbers of players that have tested positive being so high. So if for any reason this happens when the league resumes, you can guarantee that they're not going to continue. And I think that's for any league. It's not just the NBA because you cannot, and I know, Brandon, you talked about the bottom dollar, and unfortunately, a lot of it does come down to the bottom dollar. A lot of businesses are looking to try to keep going in whatever way they can to protect their own revenue and their own financial pockets. But at the end of the day, if your players are getting the coronavirus because you are putting them in this situation, it's not like they're getting it at home. They're getting it because you're forcing them. Okay, not forcing, but you're bringing back the league for them to come play. If anyone gets coronavirus and it spreads, you're absolutely going to lose out. And that's where I know, like even Kelsey was saying, the risk versus reward, that's a huge risk. Aside from the detrimental effects of people being tested positive for COVID and whatever health issues that's going to have long-term, God willing, hopefully they do, have the proper treatment to get better. You're also going to have everyone pointing the finger saying, told you so. You should not have came back. You should have just canceled the season. I know Damian Lillard was saying, like, not only are we concerned because of all that's going on with social injustice and protesting, so mentally we're not there. You're also concerned because you are putting your life at risk. And a lot of people are really taking for granted just how detrimental and deadly coronavirus really is. So if you have an outbreak, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a PR nightmare for the NBA and for all leagues if you now have the best players in your sport that are being exposed and at risk because of what? Because we want entertainment, because we want games. And I love basketball, and I love that it creates a platform even now for players to be able to take a knee and a protest like we've been seeing across wrestling and NASCAR and all these different sports that have been speaking up. But that's not worth the risk of someone's life. So in the event that players are testing positive and to the point that the league is that much affected, absolutely an issue. But I will say when the league comes back, it is going to be different because any athlete is not going to be in the same mental capacity, physical shape, game shape that you were in come the late regular season heading into playoffs, having had this much time off. So there's going to be a transition period, which is also why I was leaning towards the league not coming back. You're also putting players at risk for injury, which is something that we're not talking about enough. Going from not playing, even if you're working out on your own, you're not playing games, you're not playing contact, you're not playing a high level at that intensity regularly, to then go back into playing, and then after 8 games playing the playoffs, you're putting these players not only at risk for COVID, but at risk for injury. Then what happens if something, God forbid, something happens? So there's a lot of risks here, and you're really playing with fire. But I know as a sports fan, I'm excited for the return. But as a person, I am terrified. I honestly am scared to watch what's going to happen.
I think there's such great points here. And Brian, I felt like you kept saying the Wizards because you were trying to irk me up. Because you probably saw my tweet earlier. Yeah, he's laughing. He's trying to irk me up. And speaking of Smith, I'm going to need you to put some respect on the Washington Wizards names. I have a dream that one day that team will bring me a championship in my lifetime, all right? I told them that when I was a little
kid. You better
kid.
live a long time.
Yeah, I said,
All right, Dr.
look,
King.
I plan to be at least 100. Please.
Hey, I mean, the Dallas Mavericks won, so, you know.
Look, DC's doing so good in championships, too, so now we just need our football team.
No, y'all just won't get the one that y'all want. Y'all keep getting the other one. Shout out to the Mystics. Shout out to the Nationals.
Caps,
But y'all's
Nationals,
wait.
what a time to
And
be
the Caps like, yeah, we like those teams, but we Redskins, and we want the Wizards. Come on.
Slowly but surely. But saying all that to say, I think everything's right. Look, and again, I would love to see it won't happen this year, but I would love to see the Washington Wizards or any team. We love championships. There's nothing luckily I've been blessed and privileged to cover a championship game, and there's nothing like that feeling. And I want that for reporters. I want that for players. But again, and Renee and Brandon touched on it, these are players' lives that we are trying to why are we even debating about putting something at risk? If this was a family member of yours, I'm sure you wouldn't be asking these same questions. And you shouldn't have to have that direct relationship. The problem is, yes, it's about money. I get it. These sports leagues generate a lot. We see what's happening in college sports where they're having to raise tuition and they're cutting personnel salaries in the athletic department. And that's huge. But I would rather that than, again, for the numbers to continue to climb. Because you see what's also happening is that when the COVID numbers went down, what do we see rising again? We see the numbers rising. And now these governors who are like, oh, we're opening our state are going back now and saying, oh, you know what? We're going back to what was happening before because the numbers are rising. Our hospital beds are full. We don't know what to do. And again, we don't know what to do. Dr. Fauci, I mean, please, we're hoping with everything that we find it, but the cure. But I mean, this is the first time it's happened like this. And we have the top doctors working on this, and we're still trying to fight for it. And like what was touched on earlier, these players have families. You heard what Trevor Ariza was saying. Look, I have a family I have to think about. I don't want them to be impacted. And let's remember, we have a global pandemic. I think 2 global pandemics. Racial injustice has been one that's been going on for a long time. And then COVID-19 hit. These 2 things are colliding. And right now you have these players who find themselves in this double consciousness where they're like, hey, well, what do we do? For one, I want to stand up for my community. I want to stand up for my cause. Is it right for me to play when we have so much going on? Then you have others saying, well, let's use our platform to play. But again, that health factor is huge. It's huge, and we should not take that for granted. Again, we actually have the time to. The problem with society is that we're reactive instead of being proactive. This is a time where we can be proactive and stop it now instead of being reactive and say, wait, we should have listened. Because I'll be the first to say, I told you so. And there's many more like me that would say, hey,
exactly.
We told you so. We tried to tell you. But again, these are athletes. They're athletes' lives. They're athletes' lives. I don't want to bring up Kobe, but just think about it. What we saw, what happened with the helicopter crash earlier, there many were saying, well, they shouldn't have been flying. Well, somebody should have been saying that way before. It should have been stopped way before. George Floyd, all of this social injustice, all of this racial injustice should have stopped before. We're always one in society to look back and say, somebody should have said something. We see these videos going viral all the times of people getting beat up, and we saw the homeless man in New York. They threw a firecracker on him. The man was just sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem in society where we're so often just looking instead of standing up for what we believe is right and saying what's right. And again, now is the time to do that. And I'm actually glad that players have now used their platform to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable going. I'm not going to go. This is my life. This is my choice. I am not a slave to my sport. I'm an athlete, but I am not a slave to the sport. So I don't think we're going to play. If we do play, we won't finish playing. So it's even hard for me to think about an NBA champion or any champion, because I think the true champion are going to be the people right now who are saying we're not going to play because I value your life.
I really think that we do have to hold certain players accountable as well for the decision to even bring the NBA back. I mean, and I'm not harping on your boy, Renee. I promise I'm not harping on your boy. But you literally have players that was like, if LeBron playing, we playing. You feel what I'm saying? And
rival teams.
That's not his fault.
No, but I'm just saying. But that was the purpose of having those kind of players on that Kyrie call, which he didn't attend. And again, I'm not like, this is not trying to just, I'm not trying to. I might be a little bit.
You are. That's the only superstar that did not attend. And I'm ready to cut you off, but I'm going to let you finish.
Wait a minute.
Lord knows this is what the FaceTime calls are like, ladies and gentlemen. When these two get going, they get going.
A superstar of his magnitude that has the power, the authority to shut it down, period. If LeBron said we didn't need to do it, or this is his league. This is his league. You want me to, I'm complimenting him. I'm giving you what you want. This is his league. It's his league to start and stop at any given moment, especially during Rona. And I just feel like this was one of the times where LeBron should have just been like, nah, LeBron doesn't need the money. So he ain't one of them folks that needed to go back to feed his family. He's good. And so I'm saying that, I think that point of, I know you was kind of about to hop on, Kyrie a little bit earlier, Brian. That was the point of Kyrie kind of having that call to have these pivotal, top-notch players, and their opinion on it trickle down to the players that's kind of just gonna follow suit. Patrick Beverley literally came out and was like, if LeBron playing, we playing. Forget our health. If this man is on the verge of possibly getting a championship, guess what? We're gonna play, because forget Rona. When he could have just been like, nah, let's just, I'm not for it. And it would have been shut down. So, we got to start. It's other players like that too. I think that, he's still kind of recuperating, but I'm not going to go as far as to saying that if Kyrie, if Kevin Durant was 100% healthy, there's a possibility that he might have been like, all right, let's roll with it. I want to do it. Had he not corona, had he not had the, the Achilles injury, he probably that's another pivotal voice that other people would have followed behind and probably been like, yeah, I'm going to play too, because Kevin Durant is playing. Like, we got to put some of it on these players as well. And that's what Kyrie was kind of trying to do, just trying to get these main big players to trickle down to the rest of the league to like shut it down. We got social injustice going on. We got Rona stuff going on. Let's just not. And some of those players just didn't step up to the plate like they should have. So
they definitely didn't step up to the plate.
Come on, dog. You can't refute that. I didn't say nothing bad, Renee. You see the way she looking at me, y'all?
I'm gonna put it like this. I got to keep it real. Y'all know I'm a diehard Lakers fan. I hate.
They weren't going to win this year anyway. I'm sorry.
Oh no, they were.
Lord,
they were. But
they were.
Part of me feels like this.
Entered the chat.
Oh wait, was Kawhi at that meeting with Kyrie?
Yes.
Was Russell Westbrook at that meeting? Was James Harden at that meeting? Was Steph Curry at that meeting? Was Kevin Durant's not playing. Was Bam Adebayo at that meeting? I don't know.
Warriors weren't even invited. So
Kemba Walker or Jason Tatum at that meeting. There were a lot. Where was Giannis?
We're talking about. Don't do that. We're talking about LeBron James. It is his league.
There's other superstars in the league that
it doesn't matter.
But here's my argument. Here's my argument with the return of sports and with everything that's going on, because it is appalling to me the way that people always find a way to point a finger at LeBron and find some way to blame him. And I'm not saying.
Oh my goodness! Stop it, Skip.
Take that heat if you want to. Some people feel like they always have to bring. This is a freaking global pandemic. LeBron's not Dr. Fauci. He can't predict what's going to happen. But no, King LeBron. Now it's his league. Now we want to blame him. Would Michael Jordan have been in that meeting? Would Michael Jordan have been in that meeting? No. So when I tell you this, when I say this, I'm saying this honestly. I see both sides of it.
Mhm.
I see why Kyrie is and Dwight Howard and Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid and everybody else who was in that Zoom call is asking for transparency, is unsure about if they should come back, because I'm unsure if they should come back. But then I also see how players that were not in the meeting, because there were only about, 80 players? And
Yeah,
how many
80.
players are in the league? You do the math. It's more than just LeBron that wasn't there. But I digress, and I will keep
it was the popular kids.
But the players that were not there, I understand that they're thinking, okay, first of all, it's a chance to get back and play basketball. But also it's a chance to have that platform like we've been seeing in WWE. We've been seeing in the Premier League with soccer players wearing Black Lives Matter jerseys. We know the NBA has been talking about putting the Black Lives Matter somewhere on the basketball court. In women's soccer, they've been taking a knee. We've been seeing athletes use their platform to help keep the conversation going. So I fully understand the fact that with everybody tuned into the NBA, they will be paying attention, and you do have a platform to now openly speak up in press conferences before the game and wearing warm-up shirts. So I see both sides of it, but I always keep going back to the fact that for as much as I was excited for this championship we were going to win in 2020, because yes, we were going to win it. The Clippers were not ready. Sorry. And out of the East, no. So whoever it was, Bucks, Celtics, doesn't matter. So I just also, as a human, like we keep going back to, the fact that we are literally asking these players to put their lives at risk, their fathers, their sons, their uncles, they deserve to be safe, just like the rest of us. We're all quarantined. Why can't they be quarantined? And mentally having the ability to be able to focus on the civil rights movement that we're in the midst of, instead of trying to now go out and play basketball and focus on basketball when there's so many other things in our world going on. So yes, I disagree and agree.
Quick point that I wanted to make, and I think you guys can all agree with this. When a health official says something, some people will take heed to it, while others will try to believe their own theories. But then when a professional athlete like a LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo or John Wall or Steph Curry speak up, everybody all of a sudden wants to listen and tune in and take it seriously, because now it's somebody that you idolize and look for entertainment has spoken up and said something. Now they're contemplating not giving you that entertainment. Now all of a sudden you want to listen. So it's kind of twofold with that as well.
Can I just add one thing? And I have to shout out to Brandon Scoopy Robinson, because he just dropped this story. So I talked about this issue with former NBA champion Ben Wallace, and I'm just going to bring up a quote because he talked about the importance of the player. He said, because without the player, there is no league. Without the players, there is no basketball, no baseball, no football, no soccer. The players are the driving force behind all these things. And with the players out there playing and being productive on the floor, a lot of people who are invested in these teams, they get to see a great return are their investment. And he said, and I just think the players take it upon themselves to say, hey, we want to be a bigger part. We want to play. We are the major players in this game, not just as a player, but as businessmen. We have business rights. And I say all that to say that these are people, these players have power, right? Because think about it. If they really all collectively, I don't care who was on the call or who was off the call, the main thing is the action that comes from the call, or even from those who are not on the call. Because I think so often we have conversations in society, we have conversations. My biggest worry now with what's happening is this conversation, what happens when it dies down. And I think we can all say that actions speak louder than words. And like Brandon said, we have a health official telling us it's not safe. And mind you, this is a very well-respected health official, like the top of the top of the top, the cream of the crop. Like if you're sick, Dr. Fauci is probably who you want to go to, because he'll figure out what's wrong with you. And even now you see people fighting people because they don't want to wear face masks in stores. Like it's crazy. When literally we have officials saying you need to wear face masks because even if you're not sick, you could be asymptomatic and spreading it to somebody else. Is it the most comfortable thing? No. When I take mine off, my makeup's on it. Who cares? So what? If I'm helping save a life, that discomfort for me is worth somebody else not getting it. And I say all that to say, again, I don't see why this is a debate. We have somebody, a health official, someone that went to the top schools, did all of his research, older, has studied this stuff, saying it is not safe. And yet we're saying, okay, we get that, but we like sports, but we need sports. There's no but in this case. We have to cut that out. We need to find a cure. And guess what? Sports can be delayed. A life can't. Remember that. Remember that. You don't get a second chance at life. You can get a second chance at going back for that championship. You can get a second, year, whatever. If you have an injury, hey, look, in DC, we're waiting for John Wall to come back. Even he's not going down to Orlando. But saying all this to say, again, we have a chance to get it right. We just do. And I think there's no explanation that anybody can debate with me to try to say anything other than that. These players are human beings. And right now, as human beings, we need to protect our fellow brothers and our sisters that are going down to, or would be going down to Orlando for these games that don't need to be played because they're not necessities.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a huge LeBron James fan
You
on and
don't
off
say.
the court. Huh?
You don't say.
But I
Yeah.
honestly
Go, Jay.
believe,
Yeah,
I honestly,
Team Bron.
in my heart of heart, believes LeBron feels that this is, do I think he feel that him and Anthony Davis can string together 2 or 3 championships? Yes. But I think he felt like this was the season. Kevin Durant's hurt. Clippers don't have this mojo yet. As much people want to think, they don't have that fully playoff experience. They haven't been put together, built to last. He feels that he's strong enough that he can lead Anthony Davis, as long as he's healthy, to the promised land, and they can win the championship. But we shall see. It's time to move on to the beginning of the year. But before we do that, Ashley, tell the people about A&B Sports.
Hey, y'all. So my podcast, A&B Sports, about nothing but sports. I always say it on my show. If you listen to it, you'll hear me drop it. I'm completely concentrated on sports. Realest, rawest, what you're getting from me now, what you get from me on my Twitter, my social media feeds is what you're going to get from me on my show. I try to engage like barbershop talk, and I drop my show every Thursday, but don't judge me because, sometimes I too take a little mental break. But it does drop every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, Anchor. It is a great show. I have some great guests coming up in July as well to lead up to a project that's dropping. I'm not going to say much. That's dropping at the beginning of the fall. So make sure you guys tune into it. You will not want to miss it.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that one. As you know, Kobe Bryant was a huge part of my fandom in sports, and I was highly affected by his death. So in the next episode, we discuss and reflect on the late, great Kobe Bryant. So make sure you tune in. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on all platforms. Make sure you drop a 5-star rating. And remember, do not let anybody put up a glass ceiling that you can't break through. This podcast is brought to you by B Waters Productions, and it is music. The music itself is produced by the one and only Hypno Beats.